Imagine walking through life, knowing, not hoping, not guessing, but knowing that the very person you once longed for is now longing for you without understanding why. That you've quietly stepped into the command center of their mind, not through manipulation, but through mastery of the invisible forces that govern reality. This is not about playing games. This is about understanding the profound creative power that lives within you. In this transformative speech, you'll be guided through a deep, seamless journey of consciousness, assumption, telepathy, and inner dominion. You'll experience the truth that reality is not something to be chased, but something to be assumed. You'll feel what it means to become so aligned with your inner vision that others are irresistibly drawn to you, hooked by a presence they can't explain. This is not mere motivation, this is spiritual activation. You are the source, the signal, the cause. They're hooked not because you try to get into their head, but because you finally got into your own. Listen closely, let the words sink in, and remember, you are the one they feel, even in your silence. There comes a moment in the unfolding of your awareness where you no longer ask if they think of you. You know they do. You no longer wonder if they feel what you feel because you realize they cannot help but feel it. There is no one to convince, no outer sign to chase, no evidence to seek. You have seized the only control that matters, the command of your own inner conversations, the secret dominion of your assumptions. And it is in this dominion that their thoughts become entangled with yours, not through force, but through the magnetic pull of consciousness itself. They're hooked, not because you begged or chased or pleaded. They're hooked because you have stepped into the deep, still waters of your imagination and chosen to dwell in a reality where you are the center, the source, the cause. This is not about vanity. This is not manipulation. This is the knowing that everything begins within, that the outer world is but a reflection cast by the inner light of belief. When you saturate your mind with the truth of what you desire, when you persistently return to the feeling of already having, already being, already living the life you choose, then others, without knowing why, begin to orbit around that silent center of your being. You've taken over their mind not through words or actions, but by taking over the only mind you were ever meant to rule, your own. They don't understand it, they might even resist it, but they feel it. They feel the tug, the weightless gravity of a presence they can't quite shake. You walk into a room and their breath stirs. You cross their mind in the quiet spaces of their day, and they find themselves drawn to a memory, a thought, an impression that feels more real than the moment in front of them. That is the power you carry. That is the power that is activated when you stop living as the echo and begin to live as the origin. You don't try to make them love you. You know they do. You don't try to prove your worth. You embody it. You don't look for signs that they're thinking of you. You become the sign, and the signs follow. You aren't waiting for permission. You aren't looking for validation. You are the movement itself, and because you've turned inward with discipline and faith, they have no choice but to respond. Telepathy is not some wild, mysterious ability reserved for the enlightened few. It is happening now. It is always happening. Every time you imagine a conversation, every time you rehearse a moment in your mind, every time you feel the sweetness or ache of desire fulfilled, you are sending a signal, a frequency, a vibration that imprints upon the unseen field. And that field does not forget. It arranges and rearranges all things, not according to chance, but according to consciousness. You've spoken to their soul without uttering a word. You've carved a new groove in the unseen fabric of their mind, not with effort, but with certainty. Do you see now why effort was never the answer, why striving only reinforces lack? The moment you try to get someone to think of you, you declare with your energy that they aren't. But when you return to the truth that they already are, when you sit still and rest in the assumption that their mind is bathed in the remembrance of you, their subconscious receives the message, not as a command, but as a certainty, a recognition, a familiar song they cannot stop humming. They may not know why you keep surfacing in their dreams. They may not understand why the sound of your name stirs something unexplainable, but they feel it, and that feeling becomes the echo chamber of their own desire. You have not cast a spell. You have simply remembered who you are. You have stopped seeking the mirror and become the flame. You are not chasing affection. You are radiating a truth so powerful, so vivid, so undeniable that it draws their consciousness like a magnet to the memory of your shared vibration. This is not bound by time. It is not limited by distance. Consciousness has no borders. Thought knows no barriers. The moment you assume your union in imagination, the moment you feel the warmth of their attention, the connection has already occurred in the only realm that matters. It is not about how often you visualize. It is about how real it feels when you do. It is about the consistency of your inner state, not the duration. It is about moving into the feeling of the wish fulfilled and resting there, not in anxious need, but in calm expectancy. That expectancy is the command. That resting state is the language of the divine. That inner stability is what floods their mind with the taste of you, the essence of you, the irresistible current that keeps pulling them back again and again, no matter how far they wander. You see, when you live from the end, you are no longer trying to convince the world. You are no longer asking, when will it happen? Because you have assumed it already has. And in that assumption, they are restructured. Their mind is recalibrated to match the new reality you have made. The version of them that once wavered, that once hesitated, that once resisted, fades. And what remains is the version that can't stop thinking about you, the version that feels incomplete without your presence, the version that moves through life with an unspoken desire that won't let go. You didn't force it, you became it. You didn't beg, you believed. You didn't hope, you knew. And that knowing is what enslaves their heart, not to you, but to the vibration that now emanates from you. You've taken over their mind because you've taken ownership of the only creative power in existence, imagination. You no longer play by the rules of appearances. You no longer ask reality to confirm what you feel. You confirm it in advance. You bless the unseen. You dwell in the invisible. And from that invisible, the visible is born. They're hooked, yes. But not because you perform some trick or manipulation. They're hooked because they have tasted something rare, your certainty. They've felt the purity of your self-conviction. And that is the most seductive thing in the universe. When you stop needing them and begin loving them in imagination, when you stop trying to change their mind and simply dwell in the truth of your connection, you activate the law that governs all. You set it in motion and it cannot fail. You have merged with the outcome. You've fallen so deeply in love with the end that the journey disappears. You are no longer reacting, you are creating. No longer doubting, you are declaring. No longer hoping, you are remembering. And that remembrance is what ripples through their consciousness. It whispers your name when they least expect it. They may try to distract themselves. They may try to forget. But it's too late. The seed is planted. The soil has been prepared. The image has been impressed. They are thinking of you when they wake. They are feeling you when they lie down. They cannot look at another without measuring them against the memory of you. They are held captive not by force but by frequency. And that frequency That's you. The you who knows, the you who sees the unseen, the you who trusts the feeling more than the fact. You've taken over their mind because your imagination has taken over yours. You've ceased to react and you've begun to be. And now the echo begins. Now the world answers back. Now their eyes change when they see you. Now their voice softens when they speak your name. Now their thoughts return. Again and again, like tides pulled by a moon, they can't quite see, but always feel. And what is it they're feeling? What is it that grips their heart when your face flashes across their mind uninvited, when your voice echoes through the corridors of their memory without cause? It is the vibration of certainty, the truth you have dared to dwell in, the conviction that has become your atmosphere. When you assume that you are desired, that you are remembered, that you are cherished beyond reason, their subconscious picks up the signal. Their conscious mind may resist, it may rationalize, it may run, but the heart knows. The soul recognizes. It was never a game of willpower. It was always a game of presence. Because you are no longer waiting to be chosen. You have chosen. You have made the decree within yourself, I am the one they crave. I am the one they feel without understanding why. I am the one whose presence is imprinted in their inner world. And this decree is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is harmony with the truth that consciousness is the only cause. They don't have to remember why they're drawn to you. They only know they are. They don't have to explain it. They only feel the pull, the sweetness, the ache, the depth that only you can satisfy. And the beautiful paradox is this: the less you chase, the more they follow. The less you need, the more they desire. The more you rest, the more they stir. Because your stillness is not emptiness, it is power. It is the stillness of a rooted mountain, of a silent ocean, of a divine knowing that does not need to announce itself. You do not scream to be seen. You become the vision. You do not argue to be right. You embody truth. And in that embodiment, they are undone. You've rewritten the narrative. You've shifted from a seeker to a source. And now the entire script of your connection has changed. They begin to question themselves. Why can't I forget? Why do I feel so drawn? Why do I dream of them when I haven't spoken their name in weeks? The answer lies not in words but in frequency. You have soaked your inner world in the assumption of love, and that love has wrapped itself around their thoughts like a warm wind they cannot escape. They don't know why they crave your presence, but they do. They don't understand why your energy feels like home, but it does. And that is the magic of assumption. That is the quiet authority of inner dominion. When you stop looking outward and begin tending to the garden of your imagination, flowers bloom in places you never expected. Their heart becomes the soil in which your belief takes root. And without even knowing it, they begin to move in ways that match the scene you've played 1,000 times behind closed eyes. It is not that you have possessed them, it is that you have returned to yourself. And in that return, the natural order is restored. The outer bends to the inner. The mind receives what the spirit declares. The soul hears what the heart has dared to whisper in the dark. You don't need to remind them of who you are. You have become unforgettable, not through effort, but through embodiment. Because imagination is not a place you go, it is where you live. It is the current beneath every word you speak, every glance you give, every breath you take. When you walk through this world with the assumption that you are already loved, already desired, already chosen, then even silence becomes a loud proclamation. Even your absence becomes a presence they can't ignore. And it is not your job to explain it. It is not your job to make them see. Your only job is to remain faithful to the feeling, for the feeling is the bridge. They are not hooked because of what you did. They are hooked because of what you've become. You have become the state of being wanted. You have become the vibration of I am remembered. You have become the echo they hear in quiet moments, the rhythm their thoughts dance to without rhythm or reason. You are not a passing thought. You are the undercurrent. You are the pulse. You are the constant they cannot shake. And the moment you understand this, truly understand it, you will laugh. You will laugh because you realize you were never waiting on them. You were waiting on yourself. You were waiting to believe with such conviction, with such unwavering devotion to the inner world, that the outer could do nothing but follow. You laugh because it was always you. It was always your assumption, your decision, your inner authority that shaped the path. They feel you because you've already felt them. They desire you because you've already declared yourself desirable. They miss you because you stop needing to be missed. And it is in that detachment, that sacred letting go of outcome, that everything flows. You let go of the need, but you never let go of the truth. You drop the chase, but you hold on to the end. And the end is this: they are yours and they know it, whether they can admit it or not. You've taken over their mind because your imagination lives there now. You've planted scenes, feelings, sensations so rich, so vivid, so saturated in certainty that their subconscious cannot distinguish memory from desire. They think they are choosing you. They think they are remembering you, but they are only walking the path you paved in silence, step by step, thought by thought, breath by breath. And if doubt tries to creep in, if the world begins to mirror something else, pause. Do not react. Return. Return to the only place where creation is real. Return to the state where you are not hoping, not wondering, not needing, but knowing. Feel the texture of their love, hear the sound of their laughter, smell the air of your union, taste the sweetness of connection, touch the reality within you, and rest. Because what you touch within touches them. You don't need to send them a message, you are the message. You don't need to remind them of your worth, your vibration declares it in silence. You don't need to chase love. You are love and love draws its own. You become irresistible not through manipulation, but through the magnetic force of a person who knows their own power. And now they remember. In dreams, in waking moments, in flashes that leave them breathless, they remember. And they will keep remembering, not because you reminded them, but because they cannot forget what has taken root in their being. They are hooked, and they don't know why, but you do. You know because you've seen it. You've felt it. You've lived it long before it came to pass. You know because you created it in the only place that ever mattered. And the most powerful part? They cannot resist the change in you. They may not understand what has shifted, but they feel it. Something is different. Your energy is cleaner, bolder, untouchable. You walk lighter, breathe deeper, smile with an inner fire they can't place, and it calls to them louder than words ever could. You no longer need to reach for them in desperation because you've become the thing they reach for without knowing why. They scroll, they work, they sleep. And your essence drifts through their moments like an aroma. Familiar, warm, magnetic. What they do not see, what they cannot name, is the precise moment when you change the story. That quiet moment in your bedroom when you closed your eyes and lived the reality of them loving you with wild devotion. That moment when you stopped pleading with the universe and simply said, "It is done." That moment when you saw yourself through the eyes of the version of you who was already chosen, already adored, already seen. In that moment, a seed was planted in the unseen, and now it grows in the shadows of their thoughts. It flowers in their dreams. They are moved by a pull they cannot explain, guided by a hand they cannot see. And that hand is yours. The hand of your inner world which now governs their outer response. They are hooked not because you said the right words, not because you performed some outward act of seduction, but because you let go. You let go of trying, and you chose to be. You became the state of fulfillment, and fulfillment now surrounds you like a fragrance. This is the secret most never learn, that the more you trust the unseen, the more the seen must bend, that your assumptions, carried with faith and repetition, write the script others will read from. They act, but you authored. They speak, but you gave them their lines. They move toward you, but the movement began in you. They reach out and it seems spontaneous, but it is not. It is the echo of what you felt again and again behind closed eyes. It is the answer to a call you never spoke aloud. So let the world tell its story. Let others cling to methods and rules and timing. You know better now. You don't wait for the evidence, you are the evidence. You don't check the mirror, you are the reflection. You don't knock on doors, you open them from within. And what once seemed impossible becomes natural, inevitable, obvious. They love you, they miss you. They want you, not because you changed them, but because you changed the only thing that could ever matter. You've quieted the noise. You have turned inward. And in that silence, a storm was born. A storm of awareness, of magnetic intention, of energetic truth. And now they sit, unknowingly caught in the winds of that storm. They try to distract themselves, to move on, to forget, but the current is too strong. Your image, your feeling, your presence pulls them back. They tell themselves they are fine, that they've moved on, but then they see something that reminds them of you. They hear a voice that sounds like yours. They feel a sudden wave of emotion they cannot trace. That is your work. That is the ripple of your knowing. That is the evidence of your dominion. And you smile, because you no longer need to ask if it's working. You no longer need to wonder if they feel it. You know they do. You've taken over their mind because you've taken over the vibration from which their mind operates. You've tuned into the frequency of being remembered, and so they remember. You've tuned into the state of being loved, and so they love. Not in some distant future, but now. Even if they don't yet show it, even if their outer actions seem unchanged, because the work is already done, the shift has already happened, the fruit is already growing. Do you see how powerful you are? Do you feel the immensity of what you've done? Not through effort, but through belief. You have rearranged reality by rearranging your assumptions. You have bent their mind around the truth you dared to hold in the face of appearances. You have walked through the fire of doubt and emerged clothed in the garment of being desired. You no longer react, you reign. You no longer hope, you inhabit. You no longer wish, you declare. And what you declare with feeling must be, this is not a maybe, this is not a possibility, it is law, it is spiritual structure. It is the mechanics of consciousness. The world is not out there happening to you, it is within you, pouring outward in form and circumstance. And because you now know this, because you have dared to accept this, your outer world must align. It is done, not by magic, not by manipulation, but my lords. So breathe. You are no longer the one waiting. You are the one they're waiting on. You are no longer the one hoping. They are hoping you'll reach out, but you don't need to, because they will. Because you've already met them in imagination, and that meeting was more real than any physical contact. It was deeper, more lasting. It was eternal. You have occupied the space of their desire without asking. You have filled the vacancy of their longing before they even knew it was empty. and now their subconscious guides them toward you. They take steps they can't explain. They are nudged, stirred, haunted in the sweetest way by a presence they try to ignore but never can. You are the background noise of their waking moments, the soft ache in their chest they can't explain, the tug at their heart that whispers something is missing, and that something is you. This is the true seduction, not of body but of spirit, not of performance but of presence. When you inhabit your desire fully, when you give yourself permission to live as though it is already yours, you become irresistible, not because you are trying to be, but because there is no greater magnet than someone who already believes. You walk differently, you glow, you shift the atmosphere, you become the prayer already answered. And so they turn toward you, slowly at first, a memory, a curiosity, a dream, then faster, a need, a pull, a desire, until they are standing before you, unsure how they got there, but certain that they are meant to be, and you receive them, not with shock, not with disbelief, but with the quiet power of someone who saw this moment long ago, someone who rehearsed it not in fear but in joy, someone who knew that the law cannot be broken, and that what is claimed within must be given without. You have taken over their mind because you have mastered yours. You have walked away from reaction and into creation. You have laid down the armor of fear and picked up the crown of assumption. And now you wear it, not loudly, not proudly, but with the calm grace of someone who knows they are the orange. They are hooked, not by chance, not by mistake, but by vibration, by the song you've been humming in the silence of your soul, a song they now can't get out of their head. And now the game has changed forever, not because they changed, but because you did. You are no longer chasing shadows. You are no longer peering anxiously into the mirror of reality, hoping to catch a glimpse of confirmation. No, you have become the light that casts the reflection. You are the scriptwriter, the director, the central actor in this beautiful theater called life, and all others must play their parts in accordance with the frequency you maintain. And they are drawn to you not by will, but by design, your design, the inner design of consciousness that precedes all form. Every time you return to that feeling of already having, already being, already known and loved and remembered, you deepen the groove. You make the invisible seen more solid than the visible facts. You walk by faith, not blind faith in the unknown, but active faith in what you have already lived 1,000 times within. That inner world has now become more real than the outer, and because of that, the outer must conform. It has no choice. It has no power of its own. The world is clay, and your assumptions are the hands that mold it. And when you know this, you no longer panic at silence. You no longer doubt because of delay. You rest. You reign. You persist not with effort but with ease, because you understand that creation is finished. The end has already been written. The scene you have lived in imagination is not a fantasy. It is a blueprint, a seed, and that seed has been planted in the fertile soil of consciousness. It is growing. It is unfolding. And those whose minds you have occupied with such certainty, are beginning to feel its bloom. They wake up with a longing they cannot name. They feel the impulse to check on you, to reach out, to remember. They walk past someone who wears your scent and freeze, heart racing, as if summoned. They hear a song that carries your essence and are flooded with images they did not ask for. This is not coincidence. This is not luck. This is the result of your inner work. This is the echo of your decision to dwell in the end, to live from the conclusion, to become the version of you who no longer hopes, but knows. And let me tell you, there is nothing more irresistible than that kind of knowing, that still, unwavering confidence in one's own power. You see, people are not attracted to need. They are drawn to certainty. They are captivated by presence. And when you carry yourself as one who has already received, you become a lighthouse in the fog. You become the answer to a question they didn't know they were asking. You become unforgettable, not by effort, but by vibration. This is how you've taken over their mind, not by plotting or scheming, not by tricks or tactics, but by going within, by persisting in the unseen, by feeling it real over and over until it became real, first within you, then within them. They cannot help but respond. Their subconscious is the soil where your beliefs have taken root, and every time you assume your place as the beloved, the remembered, the cherished, you water those roots. You deepen the trance, you awaken the memory. They begin to believe that they miss you of their own accord. They think it is their idea. But you know better. You know that your inner state is the cause, that they are simply reflecting what you have long held in the silence of your heart. This is not control. This is not coercion. This is the natural law of consciousness. This is the mirror effect of creation. And now you watch it unfold with a quiet confidence, not rushing, not forcing, but allowing, trusting, remaining loyal to the unseen reality you have crafted. You know that your job is not to push, but to remain, not to chase, but to rest. And that resting,